The Stambecco is filled to the brim with character. This torquey little brick is sure to turn some heads and would be amongst the most unique vehicles within your location. But what is this mammoth on wheels, and why is it one of the most underrated vehicles in the world of BeamNG? Welcome to Talks with Noise, and I'm about to tell you why you would love to own a Stambecco, but also why you would love to steer clear of it. So, what is the Stambecco? The Stambecco is a 1970s trail slug that had been introduced into BeamNG.drive in 0.27. Unfortunately, many players overlooked this beauty of a machine because of its slow nature. Unlike a lot of the other off-roading vehicles offered in BeamNG, the Stambecco is not something that you can full send over a pile of rocks, and it happens to be a bit of a snooze fest whenever it comes to the road. This vehicle feels rather dated, but that is the charm of the Stambecco, as this lunchbox has all the torque in the world but has to sacrifice its top speed. The base model 505F, for example, can barely touch 110 kilometers per hour, or it can barely reach 69 miles an hour. Nice. But in terms of torque, the Stambecco can climb a hill that's continuously inclining in second gear until it flips itself. And something I would like to point out from the internals here, notice how the Stambecco looks very similar to this photo. Well, this happens to be the Pinzgauer, which the Stambecco is heavily based upon. The Pinzgauer was built in 1971 by an Austrian-based company called Steyr-Daimler-Puch, while the Stambecco was built in 1971 by an Italian-based company called Autobello. Both of the vehicles had continued their production all the way up until 2009 and 2007 respectively, when the vehicles were finally deemed as being obsolete due to their vulnerability to landmines. Now the vehicles are collected by enthusiasts who love to stick out from the crowd and who love to crawl through trails. And these enthusiasts will likely have these vehicles for a very long time, as we can see by the design. You are currently seeing a 4-piece primary construction that was designed to make maintenance and assembly very easy. And everything within this vehicle, as with most military vehicles, was overbuilt and very robust. This mainframe, for example, which is this giant tube, is storing a drive shaft that stems from the rear to the front of the vehicle, and as you would imagine, nothing is getting through that tube, except maybe a landmine. The drive shaft running through the tube can be synced to the rear axle by enabling the transfer case. You can also hydraulically lock all of the wheels together through these fancy little levers located within the cab of the vehicle. From the transfer case, you have a small drive shaft that is fed from a 5-speed transmission, and the power provided to this transmission is provided by this low-revving inline-6 engine, and this happens to be the petrol-based version with 3 carburetors and also is air-cooled. How cool is that? But I am slightly disappointed as I stare at this distributor that was designed for an inline-4 engine. Not that I care about the distributor, but rather I would like to have an inline-4 that was far more common amongst the Pinzgauer, but I understand the idea of the developers opting for an inline-6 because players tend to like more power, more torquey, and more go-go. But if you are opting for more power, the Stambecco can be equipped with some spitty boys as well as a water-cooled inline-6 diesel engine. And of course, as with all BeamNG vehicles, you can also add some performance parts. But maybe you're not into modifying vehicles and would rather pick out one of the variants that BeamNG has to offer. The Stambecco's variants follow a very similar naming convention to the Pinzgauer. The first 3 numbers indicate the drivetrain type, a 505 being a 4x4 and a 525 being a 6x6. Moving over to a letter, the Stambeccos with a soft top contain a letter V, as the hard tops contain an F, and for my flatbed lovers, look for a Stambecco with the letter C. You can also find the Stambeccos that are diesel powered by looking for a number 2. There are also ambulance versions as well as firefighter versions that were common amongst the Pinzgauer. You may notice that every Stambecco comes equipped with portal axles, which is a series of gears that drop the wheels below the main drivetrain. This lowering of the wheel creates far more clearance below the vehicle. And if you dig a little deeper, you might notice there's also something called TPMS, which is not as common, but it's something cool to equip on the Stambecco. TPMS stands for Tire Pressure Monitoring System, and if your Stambecco has it, you can inflate and deflate your tires from the cockpit of the vehicle, as well as toggling which sections of the vehicle you would like to inflate and deflate independently. So as for the question, why would you love a Stambecco? The Stambecco is a unique vehicle that gets its ruggedness from its origins at the military, and while it isn't classified as a tank, it's an absolute tank that's built for flipping and continuing on its way. If you enjoy off-roading and you want to be a one-of-a-kind, then the Stambecco is the choice for you. But wait a second, why would you avoid the Stambecco? As previously discussed, the Stambecco is not a powerhouse. It takes everything that it has and it transfers it to torque at its wheels. It's slow, it's sloshy, and it's also very terrible on fuel economy. If you're not into off-roading, then you will not enjoy the Stambecco, but if you do enjoy off-roading, then the Stambecco is a must-try. And what you must also try is joining my Discord. That is such a bad transition. If you'd like to become a channel member, then check the description down below below. I have all of the information there as well as a BeamNG server. And thank you for watching. I hope you learned something, and I hope you hit that subscribe button because I'm trying to hit that 10,000 mark. And hopefully see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.